Hey guys, Jenna Sackett here, your host for today's webinar, all about have you ever decorated? And what we are gearing this webinar towards is thinking outside of the box of apparel. So as heat printers, we're always looking for different ways to build revenue in our custom apparel business. And it's always been geared towards what different apparel is out there, what are some popular trends that I can offer my customers, and what products can reach across multiple markets. Today, we are going to go outside of that and just heat print some off-the-wall stuff. So it's going to be very fun, and I'm really excited for the topic. It's a first for me. A lot of the products that we're going to be heat applying today, although I have done some testing just to make sure that I'm prepared for today's webinar, is definitely new and not something that I've done in the past, but I'm really excited to just kind of dive into some unique stuff, not your everyday thing that you're seeing heat printed, and maybe that you guys will be able to take away some of the items and actually be able to pull some inspiration from them, build some profit opportunity out of them with unique customers that you have available to you. It's really easy to reach customers, especially in this type of industry, by just word of mouth or posting pictures on social media and just showing people different things that you can customize for them. And I think that this is a really good topic, especially for this time of year, because people are starting to look for different ways to either decorate their home or personalize gifts or just do something personal to them. So whenever you guys are thinking about what are some different things that you can be offering for the holidays, just to build some more profit opportunity, definitely take some of these into consideration, because I think that these can be good gifting ideas for the upcoming season. I see a lot of you guys commenting in where you are joining. You guys have definitely been to these webinars before, because you know we love seeing where you guys are joining from. We have West Virginia, not far from me, right in PA, down on the southwestern part. So great to see you guys joining. North Carolina, Texas, Florida. Let's see what else we got. New Jersey, Oregon. So really all over. I'm really happy you guys decided to join in for such a unique topic. I love to keep these very interactive. So feel free to comment in any questions that you have whatsoever. I'm going to do my best to make sure I'm reviewing the products that I'm using, so you know exactly what products are going to work for what applications the best. And we also will be sharing some links with you guys on where these items were sourced. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the first one I'm really excited to show you, and that is heat pressing ornaments. So ornaments are definitely a popular item. While they might not build the most profit opportunity, they're definitely great for gift giving and just small little things that you can create as add-on sales even. So I sourced these ornaments, and they are wood. Right, so that is one thing I really wanted to show you guys today, because not a lot of people assume that you can heat apply onto wood, but it's definitely achievable. So I found these little wood ornaments, and I found them right on Amazon. They come in a pack of 36, okay, and they're already pierced so that you can thread in the fabric that they give you so that it can be hung, right? So here is the little string that is given. It comes in that, and then also a jute. So a lot of people assume whenever it comes to Christmas ornaments that they need to either use a felt tip pen and maybe do a stencil and create ornaments that way, or they're using sign vinyl. When it comes to wood, sign vinyl does not adhere to it very well without wanting to flake off, even with permanent sign vinyl. The reason for that is because wood is actually a very porous substrate. If anything is porous, sign vinyl is actually not going to adhere to it without giving this a coating first, right? So you can actually heat apply this as is without having to worry about putting that coating on there so that sign vinyl will stick to it. And you're able to do that across a lot of different heat transfer vinyl. So for today, we are going to do glitter flake. And I have 4 designs set up because we're working with a 16 by 20 platen, which means I'm going to be able to put multiples on these, on the heat press at once so that I can speed up my production if I am going to do a lot of these. All right, so once again, these were sourced from Amazon. And before I place my transfers, what I need to do is make sure I am testing my pressure. Now, I want to make sure that I'm not losing my alignment. Going to bring my camera closer here so you guys can see a little close up. I don't want to lose my alignment on where these transfers are placed for these 3 ornaments. So what I'm going to do is take those off and test my pressure real quick with just this one. All right, so I'm going to dial back my pressure because I know that this is a pretty thick piece. So I want to make sure that I'm not mashing that. And before I do that, I'm also going to grab a cover sheet because I want to make sure I'm protecting my upper heating element from getting damaged or scratched at all. All right, so as I lock that down, that gives me a medium pressure, which read out to me on my screen at the top, so I know I'm at a nice pressure. So now I can go ahead and place these all down and heat apply. And glitter flake applies at 300 degrees for 10 to 15 seconds. So all we have to do is cover with that cover sheet, lock this in place, and it's going to do the rest of the work for me. So glitter flake has a pretty universal adhesive. It can adhere to anything, pretty much anything aside from your tricky substrates like nylon or anything water resistant or waterproof, right? And then all you have to do is just remove that carrier. And then at this point, all you have to do is cut that string and just thread it through. And now your ornament is ready to go. So glitter flake red. Now we'll do the glitter flake green. This isn't actually the Kelly green. This is, I believe, the forest green is what we call it. All right, so we're able to get multiples of these done at once by using the 16 by 20 heat press. I could have done way more than 4 too, because these are, I mean, they vary in width because they are, I don't know, misshapen. They don't all match entirely, which is nice so that it's not like a cookie cutter type of ornament. It's something different so that it looks different as it hangs on the trees. But I just think this is a really great way, even if you're doing gifting items for your customers for the upcoming season, to just be able to even throw one of these in. Really easy to do, really cheap prices for the ornaments. I think for 36 in a pack, it was only $12. So it is a faux wood, but still super easy to heat apply, and you know you're not going to damage that. All right, so that is our first item on the list, is wooden ornaments that can be heat applied with heat transfer vinyl, and you don't have to worry about it flaking off at all. So as it's being stored or anything throughout the remainder of the year and it getting bumped with other stuff, you don't have to worry about any of that abrasion, you know, picking it up or knocking it loose like you would the sign vinyl. So more durable overall finish there. And once again, this is the brand. Don't ask me to pronounce it. I can't, but it is available on Amazon, which we are going to share the link to. All right. So Brian asked, how is the durability of the transfer on the wood? It's not going to be laundered. So usually when we talk about heat transfer vinyl, we always talk about its washability. And the goal is to always make sure it's lasting 50 or more washes, because that's technically the life of the garment. On the wood, as you can see, as I'm scratching that and picking at it, it's not lifting, it's not wanting to fall off. So it still has very nice durability. And that's why I love the heat transfer vinyl over the sign vinyl for wood products, because you don't have to worry about giving that extra coating to make sure that adhesive is really holding on there. All right. Since we are in the theme of holidays and upcoming seasons, the next application I want to do is a pillowcase. So pillowcases are really popular around this time of year because they're used as a decorative item for just switching it up for the season. So if this isn't something, home decor isn't really something you've thought about, this is a really good inspiration piece. Now, whenever you're thinking of pillowcases, I want you to think about what is trending and what is popular in your area. What's really going to catch the consumer's eye that's going to separate you from everyone that may be doing this as well. So in my area, and I've noticed it a lot online, so I'm assuming it's in a lot of other areas as well, buffalo plaid is huge. And in the past, it's been really big in black and red and also white and black. Okay, and now I'm starting to see white and gray trend even more. So I sourced these also from Amazon, and they come in a pack of 2. And what's nice is all they have to do is use this. It has a little zipper, and they can thread it on one of the existing pillows that they have. Now, for those of you, I don't know if you're anything like me, I love throw pillows. It's an obsession a little bit. And they get expensive. They're ranging anywhere between $15 at a low end to as high as $35. So it's nice to just be able to buy a pillowcase, thread it over some of those existing throw pillows that are there. So just buying pillowcases can go a really long way and help out the consumer as well. All right, so we'll go ahead and heat apply this. The product I'm using today for this pillowcase is fashion film. Now, the reason I went with fashion film over ultra weed is because I really like the color that Texas orange offers against the the gray and white pillowcase, because it's not too vibrant where it looks like too much of a Halloween orange, and it looks more of like an autumn orange. All right, so that's why I went with fashion film. So we're going to be using Texas orange, and I think it pairs really nicely with these colors because it's not too vibrant or bright where it's taking away from the popular pattern that the buffalo plaid offers. All right, so because this is an item that can be laundered, we're going to make sure, need to adjust my pressure here. We're going to make sure we're following those key instructions that we always talk about. Tacking and preheating before you apply your transfer to release any moisture or wrinkles in the fabric. And then you can apply your transfer. Fashion film applies at 320 degrees for 15 to 20 seconds. Now, one thing I want you guys to notice so that you guys don't think I'm like losing my mind over here and placing this entirely crooked. The pattern itself is shifting up whenever it goes from left to right. So I need to make sure that I'm still getting this nice and straight. So what I'm paying very close attention to is the straight line up here that we just created by tacking that and preheating. It's a nice hard edge, which allows me to see a nice straight line to kind of eye off of that. The other thing I'm thinking about is where is the print going to show on the pillowcase whenever it's filled with a pillow. The bulk of the pillow is always thickest in the center. So you want to make sure you're going nice and center. If you're too high, it'll look like the bottom of the print is larger than the top, and vice versa if you go too far from the bottom. We talk about location on items like this a lot with bags, because once something that is flat, when it's flat when you're printing it, it'll look really nice, but when it starts to get filled, it will start to distort whatever it was printed with. So we talk about that a lot with bags as they're getting filled, where your print location is going to be. So same thing with pillows that we talk a lot with bags. You want to make sure that you are perfectly center. One way to really help with making sure you're center on items like these is either using a ruler and measuring from side to side and from top to bottom. And then another key tool that I should have set up but didn't is the laser alignment system, because it'll actually put the lasers down onto the bottom platen and let me know exactly what is center of whatever item I am loading, okay? All right, so we can go ahead and heat apply this. So Vicky says, so you are not necessarily following the line of the buffalo print with the square line of the pillow. No, so I'm going to show you why. So if you notice, and this is a hot peel, so I can actually go ahead and remove this while we're here. And it looks like I didn't get enough pressure down at the bottom. So I'm going to cover and heat apply once again. But I'm going to increase my pressure. So once that's done heat applying, what I'll do is show you the top seam. You'll notice where the buffalo plaid print is actually not completely straight across, which is fine, but we just want to make sure that the print is straight. So you'll notice at the very top line, see how it gets really skinny on this side? That's how we know the pattern is off. So we need to make sure that we are getting the, we're aligning the design up more so with the top edge and then dropping down just to make sure it's straight across. So that when it's on the pillow, it's not looking like it's distorted or anything. Okay, and this is a cotton fabric. So any heat transfer vinyl you want to use on this, you can. I use fashion film again because I just really loved this color. But if you wanted to switch it up and use a metallic, or maybe you're printing dozens of these and you'd rather use a screen print transfer such as Goof Proof from Transfer Express, then you can do that because it's a cotton fabric. So just because it's an accessory, still think, okay, it's still the type of fabric that it would be if it's a t-shirt. So I'm not going to concern myself and worry about what adhesive is going to adhere. All right, so that's another reason why I think some heat printers, especially beginner heat printers that are used to just doing apparel, steer away from accessories because they're not sure how they would heat apply those. But it's very simple. You just pay attention to what the content of the fabric is made up of, and that will help you determine what type of heat transfer vinyl to use, or heat transfer if you're using screen print transfers as well. All right, so I love how this turned out. I'm excited. I might keep it for myself. All right, so it looks like we're getting all the questions answered. Thank you, Stacy, for handling any questions and sharing links. All right, so that wraps up what I wanted to do with you guys for some of the holiday stuff. Just thinking outside of the box, different things that you can do for the upcoming season. So we have our ornaments and our pillowcase, just some fun little home items that you can do. Now, another one, and so leading up to the webinar, we were asking customers different things that they're doing for heat pressing, like what's the most abnormal job that you received from a customer that you heat printed for them. And eyeglasses, or not eyeglasses, eyeglass cases came up. So I went on Amazon again and just looked at different eyeglass cases on Amazon and found, we're going to share a link to these as well, but found pattern eyeglass cases that aren't like a normal cloth type of eyeglass case. I keep wanting to say iPhone. Eyeglass case. This is actually more like a faux leather. So I don't know if you guys can see like the texture in that, but we can heat apply this. So anytime we're working with a faux or vegan leather, there's a ton of plastic in it. So you need to be cautious of that plastic content and how badly that could melt underneath high heat. All right, so we're going to jump back to Glitter Flake again, and we're going to personalize this. I picked our pale yellow which is one of the newer colors in the past year or so that we've added, because I think it pairs really nice with those little lemons. But it comes in a lot of popular patterns, and I believe there's a pack of 8. So just keep that in mind. And then there's just so many glitter flake colors. There's like over 60 at this point, that you'll be able to pair really nicely with some of the patterns that they offer in this. So we'll be sure to share the link to that, but I want to show you how you can heat apply a fabric like this without damaging it or creating bumps in it. Because if you've ever heat applied plastic at a really high heat, not knowing that there's plastic in it, it'll actually create little bubbles in the fabric and it just ruins the finish entirely. So whenever you're working with a super heat sensitive item like this, you want to make sure you are using a cover sheet known as a flexible application pad. The flexible application pad is made of like a silicone texture. It's really stretchy, but it protects heat sensitive items from melting under high heat. Now there's one tip that we always tell our customers anytime they're working with a cover sheet like this, is that they are using an additional 10 seconds, okay? So we are going to apply glitter flake, which applies at 300 degrees, and it applies for 10 seconds. So we're gonna add an additional 10 seconds. I can't stress enough that with this application, I don't want you to think that you are doubling your time anytime you work with this cover sheet. We're just adding an additional 10. So if I was using this cover sheet with, let's say, fashion film, which applies at 15, I wouldn't double that and apply it at 30. I would just apply it an additional 10 at 25 seconds, okay? Temperature stays the same, pressure stays the same. The only thing you're doing is adding an additional 10 seconds. Okay, so we're going to take our eyeglass case, and there is this enclosure up here has like a thick band inside of it that allows it to open and shut. So what we need to make sure is that that is not in the way of causing uneven pressure. So when we place this, we're going to put it right on the edge here so that that little snap up there isn't in the way of getting a nice flat pressure down here. Now, if I wanted to do multiples of these and I wanted them to just all be on the platen, what I could do is use a heat printing pillow. All right, so this is a heat printing pillow. It's a foam pad that's covered with a non-stick cover sheet to protect anything from accidentally getting on there. But what I could do is just place this pillow down, put the whole thing on there, and heat apply a few at a time. These come in bigger sizes, so if you wanted to fill the entire platen up, you could get the 16 by 20 pillow and just place that on there and then load this thing up with a bunch of these. But so that you can see that process, let's go ahead and just use the pillow. And I'm going to decrease my pressure to make up for the density of the pillow. It's telling me I'm at a medium pressure. So we're going to take the glitter flake. And the first thing I'm going to do for this application is just tack this. Okay, so I don't need my flexible application yet. What I'm going to do is use my cover sheet first. The reason that I am tacking the product before applying it for the full application is because glitter flakes carrier leaves glitter specks, okay? Oh, it came off with my cover sheet. So you'll notice as I peel this carrier away, see all the glitter specks that are still left over on this carrier? I don't necessarily want that to transfer over to this product. And honestly, it already started to. You can actually see that. And while it looks cool, you can just tell that it was a transfer that was put on there, and which is fine too, but some people don't like the idea of vinyl. It gives like a weird, they just assume like a negative connotation with it because vinyl has that past, I guess. But we want to make sure that that is not digging into this material. So that tacking method is going to help. I should have only tacked it for probably 2 seconds instead of 5 or whatever that was. And then that would have avoided that from happening a little better. But hopefully we can buff some of that out by covering with the cover sheet and applying for its full application. And one thing I really like about these particular eyeglass cases is that it is fleece lined. So you don't have to worry about the inside of the eyeglass case really, what's the word I'm looking for? Like adhering together on the inside. So if you've ever done plastic products that have a plastic liner on the inside, it just melts together. So by tacking and having a fleece lined and everything, that's going to avoid that from happening. Okay. All right. So overall, pretty nice finish. I would have liked there to not have been that glitter speck in there, but at least we didn't compromise the finish of the overall product just so that we could get that personalization there. Okay, so there's a question. How do you wash the flexible pad? I have toner that transferred to it from my white toner printer design. That is a good question. I have never had to wash a flexible application pad. However, anytime I have gotten ink or adhesive from a product on something, I have used soft scrub, which is a cleaner made for stovetops. And I've been able to get stuff off with that. And I use an old t-shirt or one of those like microfiber washcloths that just clean a little bit better as opposed to something that's like thick and has like a high pile. So not like a normal washcloth that could cause any beating of those fibers onto this, because this is a unique texture. So I worry that if you're scrubbing it, those fibers from the washcloth would start to stick to this, especially with using the soft scrub. So use like an old t-shirt or a microfiber washcloth to use soft scrub on this, and that should help. Now, if something like sublimation or anything like that were to happen to get to this, you probably just have to get a new one. Sublimation is really hard to get out of stuff once it's on there. Carla asked, can glitter flake be applied to plastic flip-flop slides? I have not tested glitter flake on plastic, just like all plastic. So for example, they make those polyurethane bags that are clear, like the backpacks and things. Or maybe it's not polyurethane. I think it's PVC. I can't remember. But either way, the majority of it is plastic. This doesn't have a huge content of plastic in it, so I'm able to get glitter flake to adhere to this without it melting at its 300-degree application instruction. However, I haven't tested just all plastic product with glitter flake. It may require a temperature drop, and because it's an accessory that isn't typically laundered, you could get away with that. But we have tested Ultra Weed, which applies at 235 degrees on plastic. So I would recommend just if you're going to test it, slowly drop your temperature from 250 down and see how low you can get it while it still heat applies. As long as it's an item that is not going to be laundered, you can pretty much drop your temperature and get it to adhere to there, because the plastic is going to melt and cure to that adhesive at a low temp anyway. So it's really just a lot of trial and error. Unfortunately, I can't give you a clear answer, but I do know Ultra Weed will apply to plastic at 235 degrees for 10 seconds. But now I'm a little intrigued to try the glitter. So I guess I'll follow up and let you know.
Hey, Jenna.
Yes.
Can you answer 2 quick questions that some people had earlier?
Absolutely.
Sarah wanted to know, what font did you use on the pillow?
Okay, so that is actually not an SVG that I created, so I don't know the font, but the SVG is free from lovesvg.com. So I'll actually type that in so that you guys can have the link there. It is under her autumn collection, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't know the font, but she does sell the fonts that she uses in her SVG creations. So that would be something to check out.
And then the other question Lisa had earlier, she wants to know what would be the best vinyl for journals that are not leather, but I think you might have just answered it with Ultraweed for plastics.
Yeah, Ultraweed for sure. Just because Ultraweed starts out at such a low temperature of 260 degrees. And from there, you can just keep dropping to figure out what temperature is going to apply it without ruining it. And I'm also going to show that here shortly on a yoga mat. So that kind of gives you an idea of the process of testing different temperatures on products that aren't laundered so that you can get it to apply without compromising the finish of that item. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, and this one came from another customer, I'm just kind of asking people different things that they're heat applying, and what came up was baby shoes. So obviously I wanted to do this just because these baby shoes are so cute. And it's a unique texture. So I don't know if you guys are picking up on the trend or not, but I'm trying to go outside of the norm with fabrications. And this is a glitter texture. So you guys can probably hear the texture in that. So we're going to try to heat apply these with the shoe platen. So the shoe platen is a interchangeable platen that can go on the heat presses, the Hotronix heat presses. So we're going to use it on the clam today, and we're going to customize these. So as you can see here, we're just loading them on the bottom there. They have a little elastic band here, which allows us to be able to stretch that. But we're definitely going to have to use that flexible application pad so that we are not destroying this piece of the shoe here, because that is definitely a faux leather type of plastic material. And we have to use a lot of pressure and our full dwell time for our application. So we want to make sure that we are protecting that from melting. Right, so that's locked in place. I'm going to load on my other one. And this can also be done using a tacking iron. So for those of you that don't have interchangeable platens, such as this one, there are tacking irons out there that are very small, and they allow you to heat apply little small pieces of heat transfer vinyl on small, tiny items. So that would be ideal for these. So I'm just dropping in a little monogram here. I'm not going to worry about preheating these. Flexible application pad. I'm going to have to increase my pressure here as well since we swapped out the platen. And glitter flake applies for 10 seconds. So we'll let that count down and heat apply. You know what? I forgot to increase my time. I just went on that whole spiel about telling you guys that you have to add an additional 10 seconds anytime you use this cover sheet, and I didn't even do it. So we're going to do this for another 10 seconds so that it gets its full dwell time it needs underneath that flexible application pad. Jesse asks, are all or most of the heat presses sold by Stahls offer removable lower platens. Yes, all of the Hottronic styles offer removable platens so that you can interchange different things to heat apply different accessories, such as what you're seeing here. Even on like the 15 by 15 Max that you see here, although it is a smaller heat press, we're still able to load on an 11 by 15, any of those small 6 by 10s, 4 by 4 platens. It just always has to go smaller than what you start with. Okay, so if I have a 15 by 15, I can't go on and load a 6 by 20 because it's not going to allow me to reach the rest of that 5 inches that I'm missing from the upper heating element. All right, so let's go ahead and take these off and remove the carrier. All right, so even on this textured vinyl, we're able to get this glitter to heat apply without any lifting or anything at the edges. And we didn't damage our faux leather around the sole or this metallic leather that trims the shoe elsewhere. And of course, since we're doing baby shoes and we're monogramming these, I wanted to add in a different accessory that could be paired with those. So we're also going to heat apply our CAD cut metallic that will be paired with this onto a little infant headband. Right, so originally I was thinking about putting it here, which would be really cute. However, since this is a pre-made headband, we need to be cautious on how we're heat applying this because, as you can see, there is a lot of overlap here with that fabric from the bow. If there was a little bit more of excess fabric on the edge here, I would be comfortable heat printing that, but I'm a little concerned about ruining this piece of the bow. And also that overlap could cause my adhesive to not adhere accurately, right? So I'm going to actually personalize the side of the band, which can still be seen because it's right there next to the bow. Now, I do know that they make larger bows that have more fabric on the tails of the headband from the bow where you could fit a full monogram on there. I would say with this style here, I would have to make the monogram very, very small to be able to put something on the tail there. Okay, so that's why we're going to do the band, and I'm going to swap out my platen for a different size. So we're removing the shoe ply, and I'm going to drop in the 6 by 10 because I'm going to be able to just thread that headband right on the edge here without stretching it too much. Now I want it to be close to the bow, but I don't want the bow to cover it up. So I'm going to make sure that my bow is where it would lay when it's being worn, which is right here. And I'm just going to scoot that over to the side so that it's not causing any uneven pressure. Now, before I place my CAD cut metallic, of course, I need to do a pressure check. And we are very, very light on the pressure, so I'm going to dial this down just a little bit more. And now we can place our metallic. So CAD cut metallic, another really popular special effects material. I could have very easily used CAD cut glitter flake because this is a nice, cute little glitter shoe. But to switch it up and just offer something a little bit different that could yield a little more of a higher profit opportunity, then I'm going to use CAD cut metallic for sure because this product can definitely demand a higher price because it's just been seen a lot in retail on those high mirror-like finishes. It's just a really popular finish overall. And this product is a cold peel. So we're going to wait for this to cool completely before we remove that. And then we'll get into 2 more applications and then visit some questions. All right, so to speed up the cold peel for this, all I do is just place that down on a cold surface and let that remove the heat a lot faster. But overall, really great finish, and I think that these 2 products pair very nicely together. So CAD Cut Glitter Flake and CAD Cut Metallic for the children's accessories. And these, there were so many different brands selling blank headbands in packages of different colors. So the link that we're sharing for this headband, it'll take you to a single, just because I was looking for just one, but they have packs for pretty good prices of like 10 to 20 in a lot of different colors that you could utilize these for. So I see these as a really great opportunity for gifting, especially for baby showers, but also for the upcoming holidays. And even if you guys are doing personalized items and selling those through your Etsy stores, anything like that, this is a great opportunity for. I feel like moms, grandmothers, aunts, they eat this stuff up. This is really cute. So being able to pair stuff like this just helps reach a different market. Okay, so next we have an umbrella. And the reason I wanted to show you guys umbrellas is because people tend to get a little bit scared when it comes to umbrellas. There's just a lot of hardware and obstructions in the way of causing a nice overall print. So we're going to show you how to do that. So this is sourced from Leeds. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about my dilemma today, because this is not the original umbrella that I wanted to show you guys how to heat print. I wanted to heat print this one originally because the clear umbrellas are trending a lot in retail. Even if you just go to like a TJ Maxx or a Kohl's or something like that, you're going to see those clear bubble umbrellas. This one I need to do a little bit more testing with. The type of plastic that it is scaring me a little bit. So we're going to steer clear of that one for today. But if you guys want the results of that one, please visit the Heat Press for Profit Facebook group. If you're not in there already, usually that's where I do or share a lot of my like testing results and let you guys know how things turned out. But for today, because I want to be able to give you the best recommendations possible, we are going to use the polyester umbrella, and this is sourced from Leeds, right? That's LEEDS, or also known as PCNA. You can get these wholesale, and that's why I want to make sure I share that with you guys, because I feel like these are actually so easy to heat apply that they could definitely warrant a nice profit opportunity for you, whether that be for promotional items, local businesses, events that are going on, and then also sports have come back up. So since that is happening, we're able to start marketing to that again. So to start, what we're going to do is open this umbrella up and let this just kind of float out so that we can stretch the wires that are on the inside. The wires probably cause the most headache when it comes to heat applying, but that honestly comes to sizing of your design. So we're actually going to, one second. We're going to leave the platen on there that we have, but we're just going to rotate it. All right, so this is the 6x10. And we're going to rotate this so that it is in the landscape option. And I love doing umbrellas on clams because, especially on a clam that is on a pedestal like this, because it leaves all this open space for my umbrella, the rest of my umbrella to just fall under. And now I have my print location completely isolated. So the wires are going around the platen All right, so here's the tip of my wires. You can see that they're not going to get heat crushed with the press at all. And now the print location that I wanted is completely open and flat, allowing me to get a nice even pressure when I go to apply my design. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind that umbrellas, of course, they are made specifically to keep you from getting wet. So you want to make sure that whenever you are sourcing your umbrella, it's not something that is extremely waterproof, that wouldn't allow an adhesive to adhere to it. And then a lot of umbrellas are now made with polyester as opposed to nylon, which they have been in the past. So that's another good thing. Just make sure that you're looking for 100% polyester. You'll have the most success with getting a heat transfer to heat apply to it, as opposed to some of those other fabrics like nylon or anything with waterproofing. So we're going to use our full color digital product, our first digital media that we're showing today. And this is known as Sublastop. So Sublastop, I love using on polyesters because polyesters are dyed to get their colors for the most part. So I want to make sure I'm blocking any ink from migrating through, and Sublastop does just that. So I can go ahead and drop my design on here, making sure I'm not overlapping the platen at all. So we have a nice flat pressure. I'm going to cover with a cover sheet. And Sublastop actually is a pretty low temp material. So I can heat apply a lot of heat sensitive fabrics. So for those of you that have worked with polyester before and you're familiar with scorching and bruising, that is where low temp materials really come into play and keep stuff like that from happening. Sublastop is a hot peel, so I can go ahead and remove that carrier once it's complete. And I did see a question come in regarding HTV for nylon, and we do have a few solutions for you with that. So we have a special effect material known as 3M Reflective, which has its ANSI certification for those people that have to meet that grade of reflectivity, municipalities, fire departments, whatnot. Those can be used on nylon. So 3M Reflective. We have all of our Super Tech heat transfer vinyl applies to nylon. So if you're looking for a full color heat transfer vinyl, these products work really well with that. And also Gorilla Grip. So if you're looking for a single color heat transfer vinyl that will apply to nylon, Gorilla Grip is a really great option as well. All right, so I'm not going to open up the umbrella in here, but you guys get the overall effect. We're able to print on this just fine. I really like this heat transfer vinyl, especially for outdoor stuff. Works really, really nice. We've used these products on big tents and fold-up chairs that are used at like baseball games and stuff. So really great overall product, and allows you to get that full color that you just don't want to spend layering a ton of single color heat transfer vinyl to get. So we can get gradients, photorealism, any type of full color effects in these types of products. And it applies beyond just apparel. All right, so that is our umbrella. I'm still excited to try out the plastic one. So Heat Press for Profit Facebook group. I will definitely post results in there just because that is such a really popular style of umbrella. I know they were popular years ago, but we're starting to see those trend again. And to be able to customize that with like a monogram or even for a hotel and putting their brand on there would be really big for you as a custom printer if you can land a job like that. So being able to show them that you can do it is going to help you. All right, last but not least, we have the yoga mat. All right, so I'm going to hop over to our 15 by 15 clam. I needed to make sure I had a different press. There's really no rhyme or reason why I chose this press. It's not that this press is the only one that can heat apply yoga mats. I just needed something that is going to apply at a different temperature. This one's set at 300 degrees, but I need to be down at 235 for this to heat apply accurately. So whenever you are working with yoga mats, they are made of a very heat sensitive foam, all right? And they're pretty dense. So whenever I load this on there, I'm gonna make sure that I'm getting just one quick test of pressure. And I'm going to use my flexible application pad as I test that pressure, because I wanna make sure that I am not melting this, okay? So the less amount of dwell time it is under there for the temperature, the less I have to worry about that happening. All right, so I'm gonna move you guys to the side here so you can get a better angle. All right, would say the trickiest part is finding center. I think I'm centered here. All right, I'm gonna grab my flex pad. Cover that, just because this is a really thick product. I wanna make sure I'm definitely testing my pressure. I have to dial that back a little bit more. All right. All right. So the products that we are going to be heat applying is Pad Cut Ultra Weed. All right. Ultra Weed applies as low as 260 degrees for most applications because it is a really nice low temp, lightweight heat transfer vinyl. Works great on apparel, especially 100% polyesters at 260 degrees. However, we are working with a very unique item, so we want to make sure we drop that temperature even more. We need to make sure we're at a nice, decent pressure because this foam has a lot of texture to it, and we want to make sure that we are getting the adhesive down in to those open spaces so that this isn't like something easily picked off. Okay. I'm nervous for this. I don't know if you guys can tell through the camera, but I'm nervous for this. All right. I did do it live and it worked fine, but I was at a higher temperature. I applied it for its original 260 degree application, but it still left some bruising. So my concern is I don't want to do that on a nice yoga mat if I'm customizing it for someone and leaving that indentation of the heat press. So how can we avoid that? And of course, dropping the temperature is going to help. And this applies for 10 to 12 seconds. So we're gonna go with the 10-second application. Okay, here we go. Here goes nothing. I'm gonna hold this in place without burning my fingers. All right. So it was on 15, so I am going to lift this up at 5. Okay. All right. So no bruising or anything. And Ultra Weed is a hot peel. And it worked. I'm so excited. Yay. I'm glad that it worked. All right, and you can even see the texture coming in through the Ultra Weed, which I love whenever we're able to get that look with heat transfer vinyl because it makes it look like part of the product as opposed to something that is just sitting there, right? Like sometimes heat transfer vinyl can look like it's a sticker just sitting on top, but whenever it takes on the texture of the product, it looks a lot nicer. It looks like it's part of it. So what I want to compare this finish to is the branding of the item that came on it. Okay, so this is another Amazon source, and I just want to show you their branded logo. So it's not, to me, it's not as vibrant. It doesn't really stand out. And when I look at it really close, it doesn't even look like a print. It looks like it was like a template that was put down and then they painted into it because it looks more like a paint more than an ink than anything. And I just feel like I could rub this right off. So I was just comparing the heat transfer vinyl finish like to what they branded it with. And I understand that they need something that's going to brand on there, but I just feel like it could rub off very easily. It kind of reminds me of the ink that we would see retailers use for branding the bottoms of flip-flops where the foot goes in. That's what this finish reminds me of. So it's not a screen print ink. It's not a heat transfer vinyl. I'm not sure what it is, but it always reminds me of paint. But in comparison, we have this, which kind of gets lost on the mat. And then this finish as well, which is much more vibrant. And I just really like the vinyl finish overall. And that color looks pretty paired with this color as well. All right, so Eddie asked, so no need to use a flexible cover to press on the yoga mat. Because I dropped the temperature so low and applied it 235 degrees, I didn't feel that it was necessary to use the flexible application pad. However, if you're going to do something like this and it makes you feel more comfortable to use the flexible application pad, just add that additional 10 seconds and heat apply with the flex pad and you should be fine. But I just didn't want to keep it under there for a longer dwell time. That was my thought process through the whole thing. All right. So that completes the webinar as far as the projects that we wanted to do today. This was fun. I'm glad we got to just test new stuff outside of the realm of apparel and just heat apply really unique stuff. Hopefully you guys got a really nice takeaway from it and different things that you can do that can be add-on sales for your business or just reach a whole new demographic or market entirely. That's what we're here for. We're here to build inspiration. And I want to thank those of you, if any of you are on, who shared some ideas with us through Facebook so that we could make this webinar happen. You guys were inspiration for us as well. Thank you, Sylvia and Cindy. Appreciate it. It looks like, Stacy, were there any questions that I missed in the comments?
I am looking through. I tried to do my best to answer most of them.
Thank you.
It looks like the newest one that came in, Lisa said, if you were to use the flexible pad, would it help push it down into the yoga mat? I'm assuming the transfer.
Yeah, so actually that's one thing I really like about the flexible application pad too, is that the texture from the flexible application pad actually helps texture in other situations. So for this, if I use the flexible application pad, it certainly would have added more texture to the overall finish of the Ultra Weed on there. And it definitely, even if I wanted to pop that on there right now and increase the pressure and put it on there for like maybe 2 or 3 seconds without the flexible application pad, that would be another way that I could push that down in and texturize it even more. Again, I just concern myself with the additional dwell time and ruining the finish of the yoga mat. But the flexible application pad, yes, long story short, it can help. Sorry, I'm long-winded with my answers sometimes. Was that it, Stacy?
Yep, I believe so. I'm just going through some of these I could probably answer to off the webinar. But yeah, I think we're good.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. As always, it was a pleasure. We are going to be back with you guys next week. So be sure to visit the Stahls events page and keep up to date on all of our live events. I'll see you guys next time.